Mike and Tom are registered with Stewart Partners Global Advisory LLC.
Common Sense Finance with Mike Wiginton and Tom Farrell of HL Wiginton Capital Management, an independent investment and financial planning firm in downtown Jasper. Mike is a chartered financial analyst charter holder, and Tom is a certified financial planner professional. They are here to discuss and give their thoughts on current financial and economic matters. Now, with Common Sense Finance, here are Mike and Tom. All right, welcome back to another edition of Common Sense Finance. I'm Tom Farrell. This is Mike Wiginton. Mike, I've been seeing a lot of commercials lately about the benefits of buying and owning gold. Talking about it being an inflation hedge and how it's kind of a safety play. What do you say about that?
Yeah, so that's I think there's a lot of misinformation on that front. You know, there's a article recently on MarketWatch, and you can find this data, first of all, in a lot of different places, but this just happened to come from MarketWatch, and the date's August 6th, and it stated that gold had to get to $2,800 in order to be at the same price that it was in 1980, adjusted for inflation, okay? So that's to say that, and I think gold this morning is a little over $1,900 an ounce. Right. So it's got a long ways to go just to break even with where it was in 1980. So it's not kept up with inflation.
And it's had a really
strong
run in the last year or two.
That's exactly right. And so that's just a myth. Gold's really known as a fear trade. When you get in a lot of social unrest like we're seeing today, people begin to believe that their local currency is going to be devalued for whatever their central bank's doing. Then people will, and it's more of an emotional play. They run into gold, and you'll see the value go up a lot, mostly during those times. But speaking of currency, you know, one of the things that's touted is that gold's been used as it's been around for 4,000 years, and they talk about it being a currency. Well, if you go back 4,000 years ago, 2,000 years ago, well, the fact of the matter is there were lots of things that were used as currencies, including things like precious stones, rubies and emeralds, and other things as well that were used as currency. So I'm not sure how that's relevant to today's standard, you know. But the fact that it doesn't keep up with inflation just really disqualifies it from being truly an investment, because one of the characteristics of equity investments anyway is that not only does it beat it, match inflation, it beats it, and then that begins to add. That's how you grow wealth, is once you get past the negative effects of inflation. So you know, gold has no cash flow associated with it, doesn't pay a dividend, and it has very limited industrial uses as well. And that's not to say I'm not advocating for or against gold in your portfolio. This is just educational content. But I will say, there might be times under certain conditions, very limited conditions, that it might be right, depending on how you use it, because there's a lot of negatives to taking physical possession. That you don't hear that on the commercials. And by the way, those folks on the commercials are not, quote, registered people. You and I are obviously registered with Financial Industry Regulatory Authority and Securities and Exchange Commission. We're registered folks. Therefore, we're very regulated in terms of what we can say to you. You know, I mention on a regular basis or make reference to our compliance folks, and they keep us in line with the regulators. But these folks on these commercials are not, and therefore what I am suggesting to you is that their interest may not line up with your best interest, which is the nature of this podcast, is that you really need to be careful about the things that you're reading, the things that you're seeing on television and elsewhere.
All right, sounds good. Thanks, Mike.
I just can't believe all the things people say. Controversy. Am I black or white? Am I straight or gay? Controversy. Do I believe God? Do I believe me? Controversy. 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 I can't understand.